Hey everyone, it's Nick and Aaron reporting from Gamescom. We've almost at the end of the week. We've almost survived. How are you feeling?
Very tired.
Yeah,
good.
same. What were your overall impressions of the show?
So it started off really quietly. Usually you'd have Microsoft, Sony, EA, all the big press conferences. Today, this week there were just some small fan events. No real huge news coming out of it, which is a shame.
Yeah, I think EA has a really interesting approach to doing their conferences now. This year we've seen at E3, for instance, they did a sort of community-centric sort of show where fans could come in and play the games themselves, and they sort of live streamed that. And it was a similar sort of deal here at Gamescom. They had this event whereby journalists were trying the different games, and I think they had some fans in there too. They live streamed that, they had some developers up on stage. It wasn't a traditional press conference. And I think that kind of works for them, because if you don't have news, you've got to do something, right?
And there was a company the next day that had news, and that was Konami.
Right, I mean, it came out of nowhere. They announced a new Metal Gear game, Metal Gear Survive, which is divisive, to say the least.
Right, I saw the trailer, I wasn't very impressed. I went to a press briefing just after that, and they wouldn't answer any of my questions about the game, apart from to say that this isn't a full price game, which seems to be like a recurrent theme for things that I'm not quite sure about, because Recore is also not a full price game, and I'm also very much not sure about that game.
Yeah, when Kojima left Konami, people worried what would happen to this franchise, because Konami was still keen to continue developing games under it. And I think this is like the worst case scenario that everyone was fearing, which has just been realized, you know. So that is slightly concerning. But anyway, let's try and hit some more positive news. Tell me about a game that really impressed you.
So I want to just quickly talk about the few VR things that I did.
Okay.
So they're all ridiculous, and you can watch me making a fool out of myself, like just on the site, just go now. I did ski jump, which is like a full body thing where you've got to move and move and move to ski, lean and lean.
Right.
I did Project Arena, which is like fun light discs and flinging them at each other, blocking them and dodging. That was like a legit game that should be out soon, I hope. But I haven't announced anything on availability. And I also did a forklift truck simulator.
What? Are you saying you did Shenmue in VR?
I did Shenmue in VR. It wasn't actually a game, but after playing so much forklift racing in Shenmue, I wanted to test my skills on a real simulator. So I blagged my way onto it, had the time of my life, even though it wasn't a video game. And eventually, after knocking over a few boxes, I picked up a box with my forklift and put it on the shelf.
So wait, was this a physical prop with buttons and everything?
Yeah,
were you using a controller? What does it look like?
They've mapped out, so like on one side there's one set of controls and you can swivel the chair, the other, so you've got some flexibility, but it's like physical controls mapped out to what you're seeing, like supposedly very, very realistic environments. What about you? Like, what do you really enjoy this year at Gamescom?
A game that surprised me was Titanfall 2. So I only played little bits and pieces of the original Titanfall, and with this second game, they're doing, well, for one thing, it's on PlayStation 4, but the other thing, which I think is more impressive, is that they're doing a fully fledged story mode. And so what they were telling me about it is that it's not just going to be the Call of Duty campaign that you might expect. There's going to be some platforming in it, there's going to be some exploration in it, there's going to be some quieter moments, you know, where you're allowed to just soak up the vista. There's going to be meaningful conversations with your Titan, how you bond together, you know, in this sort of epic adventure. And I just got the impression that they're striving for more, that they're being more ambitious and trying to, you know, not do what people expect of them. They said they've been inspired by Valve games such as Half-Life and Portal, you know, and how they've told stories, and stories that people really care about. So yeah, it's too early to make a final call on it, but I'm really interested to see how it turns out.
Cool. When you're talking about exploring, just made me think of Sea of Thieves, which I played, I checked out and watched other people play on Wednesday. It's looking good. So when I saw it at E3, it was just a bunch of ships shooting each other, and I didn't quite understand why I should care about this game. Turns out it's about exploring and having fun and going on quests with your friends. So 5 of you get on a boat, one does steering, sails, cannons, etc. You're talking to each other, and if you're not near each other, you can't hear, so you've got to shout. Like, it sounds like a swashbuckling adventure. And like occasionally you might see another ship, but it's not like this giant persistent world where you're going to be battling. It's really about you and your friends and exploring and having fun.
I gotta say, like, it's easily the project I've been most excited by from Rare for something like at least 5 years. I thought it's just kind of nowhere, and I'm really keen to see what it's like. I mean, just for us to like form a crew and just mess around for an evening or two, I think it's really appealing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too.
Okay, I'm going to try and lighten the mood a little bit and talk about an indie game that I saw called Outreach, which I am really excited about. It's kind of like Adrift. It's a first-person sort of space exploration game, only it's set in the 1980s. So rather than being a sort of science fiction, fantastical, what is the distant future going to be like, it's actually sort of grounded in history. So it's all about the golden space race between the Soviet Union and the US. You're sent up as a cosmonaut in order to investigate a space station built by the Russians, which has since gone dark. So ground control can no longer speak with the crew on board. Turns out everything's gone to ruin, and it's your job whilst you're up there to try and figure out what happened. And the idea is that you find out that the story the government's been telling you and the public is completely different to what's been happening up in space.
Operation Outreach. I know about the station. I know they recruited you.
Propaganda and
Exactly.
the Cold War.
Right, exactly. Which I think is just a really interesting theme, and some, yeah, I'm just really keen to see how that story plays out, because it's a period which I just haven't really seen explored in video games.
I will have to check it out.
Cool.
And I think this is where we should have like some Kolsch and say cheers and wrap up Gamescom, but we probably have to get back to work.
Yeah, definitely. So I would just say stay on Engadget.com for all of our reports, for plenty of other videos. Yeah, check out our YouTube channel. But otherwise, yeah, thanks for watching.
Like, say, subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.